Welcome back to the Stephan Show. My name is Graham, and welcome to my show. And it's that time of the week again, my favorite time of the week, that is, as I'm sure it is with you as well. And that is when CNBC Make It posts another video of my favorite ever series in the entire world, and that would be Millennial Money. I'm just gonna get right into it because I'm really hyped up on coffee this morning. I'm really excited to start this episode, and this one today is called Living on 45K a year in Washington, D.C. Wait for it. Millennial Money. And for those who are tuning in for the very first time and aren't familiar with myself and what I do with Millennial Money, my name is Stephan, and this is the Stephan Show. And what I like to do is look over millennial spending habits and then critique it and review it as someone who is really into personal finance and saving money and investing. And anyway, I've noticed that millennial money is something very special because no one spends money as interestingly as millennials do. I would love one day to see boomer money. CNBC, if you're watching this, I would love for you to have boomer money next. I think, if anything, that might actually do better than millennial money if you start doing that now. And that would give me a lot more content to review and react to. So anyway, Millennial Money is a very interesting series. They have some really great people on the show. Some people who are doing phenomenally well, and I have nothing bad to say, and other people who are doing not so amazingly well, and then I get angry. So let's see which one this is going to be, and judging by the like to dislike ratio, I have a feeling this guy is going to be spending his money very well and is going to be doing a great job and not going to make me angry today. So let's give it a shot and see what's going on.
I'm a really big proponent of public service. I think it's very important to give back to the country that you love, and I want future generations to be able to look at someone from Asian American descent and say, wow, I can be like that individual. I can be in politics as well.
So yeah, so there are two topics that I never discuss. I never even go close to on my channel or with my brand or me personally, and that would be politics and religion. I just feel like that could be such a delicate, touchy subject, and there's no reason to cloud that when really my main focus is investing and getting a great credit score and doing all of these other things that are completely, for the most part, unrelated to that. So I don't know why I said that, but just for anyone who's aware, those are my two topics that are off limits. Anyway.
I think the most important lesson that I've learned about money is that one needs to be very disciplined in how they spend and to ensure that they spend it efficiently.
Okay, so this is what I enjoy. This is what I have the most fun with. Let's critique the budget here. We got housing, $1,600 a month, mortgage HOA fees. You know what, I have to say on the surface, at least how much he's spending per month, it seems pretty decent. I'm just hoping he has a really low interest, fixed rate mortgage for 30 years. That would make me very happy than if he has like some 10-year adjustable rate mortgage at 7%. If he has that, then I'm gonna get upset. But assuming this is just like a reasonable 30-year loan, it seems pretty good. And then we got savings, $638 a month. That is emergency fund and thrift savings plan. Now, I'm not too familiar with what a thrift savings plan is, but my understanding is that it's a little bit similar to what a 401k is, except with government workers. So it's almost identical to a 401k, except they just call it a TSP or a thrift savings plan. But for the most part, that's pretty similar. Then we got food. $600 a month. Why is there no little asterisk thing next to $600 a month? Because I want to know how he is spending $600 a month on food. There's got to be a little asterisk there that says, like, I eat filet mignon once a week and I eat lobster. Honestly, to me, like $600 seems like a lot for one person, unless he is going and like whining and dining people for work. I could totally see that if he's in politics, he's got to meet a lot of people and network, and if some of that spending is from that, then by all means. But honestly, like if it's just him and he's going out there like spending $600 a month on food, that's basically his savings every month is what he spends in food. So I have a feeling he could get his food down to like $400 a month and get almost the same thing, and then up his savings to $838 a month, and that sounds a lot better. $838. I save $838 a month. That sounds a lot better. So anyway, food is one thing that hopefully they will dive into a little bit more. And then we got utilities, $115 a month. That is Wi-Fi, electricity, and gas. That is what I'm talking about. That is awesome. And even better, chances are with the HOA, they're paying his water bill, which means that he could take 2-hour-long showers and not pay a single penny extra, which I'm a big fan of. And then we got MISC, $108. Why is there no asterisk to MISC either? I want to know what MISC is. What is $108? Next, we got donations, $50 a month. That's fine. Phone, $15. How are people getting such cheap phone plans? This is like, I've seen multiple people now who pay $15 a month for a phone plan. That's amazing. And then we got Netflix, $14 a month. So overall, I would say his spending is decent. I think he should be able to save a little bit more though, because if he's making $45,000 a year, and then I'm guessing after taxes that, you know, high 30s, and then he's spending about $36,000 a year, there's really not that much left over. Now, in his defense of his mortgage payment, I would guess, sounds like, I don't know, maybe about $400 a month goes towards equity. So that's almost like a little bit more savings plus the savings he already has. So it's kind of like between the housing and the savings, he's saving about $1,000 a month, which is good, but I bet he can knock that down a little bit more with the food, save some of the food budget, and increase that a little bit more.
From a financial standpoint, my default tends to be saving, and I don't usually spend money unless it's an expense that I really feel like is necessary, which is...
Oh, the editing on that was so perfect when he talks about what's necessary and you see the frozen Snickers. Those things are so good though. I don't get those because I know myself and I know if I keep junk food in the house, I eat it. That unfortunately is just the way my mind is wired because part of me doesn't want to waste any food. So if it's there, I want to eat it before it goes bad. But also, I just think to myself, what's a little bit of chocolate? And then it turns into what's a little bit more chocolate? And then I just eat the entire thing. I don't want to do that. I try to be healthy, so I avoid that if I can.
My parents being first-generation immigrants really taught me the importance of making sure that you can maximize everything that you are provided. My parents immigrated to the United States in their 30s, a decade behind some of their peers who immigrated in their 20s. And so they really needed to make the most out of their finances and their time that they were allocated. And I think that is very influential in my spending habits.
Really quick though, I hate to interrupt him, but he has his game on the side, Settlers of Catan. It's such a fun game for anyone who hasn't played that. I highly recommend. Go and get this game, go and play it, have a great time with all your friends. Anyway, but I just noticed that. It's kind of funny he has that there. But anyway, good game. I gotta say, this guy seems like he has a really good head on his shoulders. He's got a good work ethic. He has a great story behind it. It seems like he's gonna do really well in life, and I'm always excited to hear of stories like this. I think it's just phenomenal.
Prior to purchasing a house in this neighborhood, I rented here. And one of the things that I love to do in neighborhoods is to walk around and meet everyone here. I play basketball at the basketball court. I meet my neighbors. I bike around and really put myself out there in the community. And I think that's something that's very important for anyone who is looking to buy a house.
That is so awesome to hear, and I somewhat do the same thing when I'm looking to buy real estate. I've seen every block. I will drive down every single block looking at every home. I will go to some of the stores nearby and some of the restaurants and stuff just to get myself familiar with the area and see if it's something that I can really envision people living in or for myself to move into. I really enjoy that, and that is one of the aspects of real estate that is so it's so personal when you go and buy a home. It's more than just looking at the square footage, bedrooms, bathrooms, price, but it's looking at the entire area as a whole and really immersing yourself in that, and he's done a phenomenal job doing that.
I decided to buy because I felt that it was a good investment for my future and because I wanted to put my money somewhere instead of just giving it to someone else through renting. Okay,
so let's do some mathy stuff here. So if he bought the place for $350,000 and his mortgage is like $1,450 a month, I'm guessing he has about a $300,000 mortgage at a 4% interest rate, and that would come to $1,432 a month. So approximately that's what I believe his mortgage would be. Now obviously he might have a slightly smaller mortgage with a slightly higher interest rate or a slightly bigger mortgage with a lower interest rate, but overall I'm guessing it's about $300,000 at a 4% interest rate, which means, by the way, that I was correct in saying like $400 and something a month of that pays down the loan, which would be almost like additional savings in addition to what he's already doing. Now it's unclear if this includes property taxes or not, but I'm just going to assume it does not include property taxes. So anyway, that these numbers would make sense.
I think also home ownership is not for everyone. I think that if you can do it, you should, but it does take a level of discipline that sometimes people just, might not like because of the fact that it restricts a little bit of how you can spend your money.
He's got some really great points with that. And one of the benefits of owning a home is that it's almost like having insurance in the sense that your mortgage is going to be a fixed price. Your property taxes are only going to go up a small percentage each and every year. But when you're renting, on the other hand, your landlord could decide to up your rent one year or decide like, hey, I'm going to move in, you got to move out. There's so many variables with that, and you don't really get that security that you get with owning a place and really having a fixed cost that you know, like 20 years from now, approximately this is how much I'm going to be paying, and it's not going to be much different than what I'm paying now. So you could better plan for the future by owning rather than renting. Now, of course, that does tie you down to owning a place, and you're somewhat set there unless you sell it or decide to rent it out, and renting gives you a lot more flexibility. But overall, in the long term, I really believe that owning is the way to go.
So working on Capitol Hill and in government sometimes requires many, many late nights. You'll be working sometimes till 9 and 10 at night, depending on what is going on, and sometimes the weekends if it's necessary.
That seems like a lot of work for $45,000 a year, and I'm just talking about the financial aspect of this. I'm talking about the number of hours you work versus what you're paid, and it seems like he's really well educated, and working that many hours should pay way more than $45,000 a year, but I'm not too familiar with politics and how that pays, so I can't really comment too much on that. It just seems like a lot of work for $45,000.
One of the reasons I make $45,000 in Washington, D.C. is because Congress votes against a cost of living adjustment every year, meaning that they and their staffers do not receive an increase in their salaries. This is problematic in many ways because it restricts the amount of salary that staffers and members of Congress can make, but it also makes it harder for people from disadvantaged and low-income backgrounds to get a job working for a member of Congress, senator.
That, I gotta say, is really interesting. It makes a lot of sense, and I had no idea. I mean, that kind of explains the income there, and I do see how it would be much harder for someone without the support system or without the finances to get into something like that. Like, you really have to have such a stable foundation to work that many hours for that pay, unless it's something you really want to do or you have the finances or the means to do it. So I had no idea about that, and yeah, I mean, now it kind of makes sense.
One of the benefits of working in Washington, D.C. is you will go to events where sometimes there will be free food. That helps to eliminate some of the food costs that you might occur.
Now this guy is talking my language. Oh, that was music to my ears. Did you hear that? Free food? Oh man, that sounds so good right now, some free food.
The other thing that's really beneficial about DC is that it's a very walkable city. It's a city where you can walk and bike relatively easily to get to where you need to go. I prefer to bike and use public transportation because it reduces my carbon footprint and a lot of times is much faster than driving a car.
That is awesome, and that's one of the things actually I didn't realize in his expenses. I'm like, where's the car payment? Where's his Tesla car payment? He doesn't have a car payment. And DC, by the way, is such a fun place. I went there with Meet Kevin for FinCon a few months ago. Really cool spot. And he's right though, we ended up walking a lot of places or taking those like cool scooters around, and yeah, didn't really need a car when we were there. So I think it's a really cool city from that perspective.
For my retirement, I put in 5% of my monthly income into the TSP, which is the government's version of a 401k. And then the rest of the money that I save, I will accumulate at the end of the year, put into a Roth IRA.
Yes, I gotta give him props for that. That's amazing as the TSP and the Roth IRA, both phenomenal. My only advice on this would be to try to bump up the contribution maybe from 5% to like 8 to 10% if at all possible. Cut back on the food, put more money in that. But besides that, he's way ahead of most people who just wouldn't have any of those to begin with.
My tendency is to save and put all my money into the Roth IRA at the end of the year because I'm not sure if I need my money during the year for an emergency purpose.
Again, that's a really smart philosophy, and I do the exact same thing. I just wait until the end of the year, and then like December 30th or whatever, I kind of decide how I want to divvy up my money and where I want to put it. Because during the year, sometimes I don't know if I might find like the perfect property that's going to require me to throw everything I have into it, or if I'm going to have a whole bunch of money left over that I could be like, okay, you know, I'll max this out or I'll do this. And so I usually just wait to the end of the year as well, and it works really well.
I personally feel that most people who come to DC aren't necessarily in it for the money, because it's very hard to make money initially here. I just think that that's what makes life so interesting, right? You have some people like New York, perhaps. You probably find a lot of people in finance that are just completely obsessed with money because that's all they do every day. They just manage money. And some people, that's just not their driving factor. Money is something that personally for me is important. I would like, obviously, to make more money, but it's not something that I am completely hell-bent on.
All right, so I gotta say that this guy seems to have his priorities set straight. He knows what he wants, he's going for it, he knows what's important to him, and that's really what matters the most. And he still respects money, he's still saving, he's still going with a TSP and a Roth IRA and doing everything else he needs to be doing. So I can't knock him on anything like this, and it seems like he has a really great work ethic. I just wish there was something in here that I could get really upset about, but so far everything in here, there's nothing that really stands out to me besides his food budget. I wish he would talk a little bit more about his food budget and how he spends $600 a month, because there's no way he's doing that with groceries. I guarantee he's going out, he's spending money elsewhere. So I want to know where he's spending his money, what's important to him with food, what's costing that much money with food, and then I can roast him a little bit on that. But besides that, I think everything he's doing is phenomenal, and everyone has a different relationship with money. Like for me, I have a lot of fun making money and figuring out what to do with it and how to invest it and how to grow it and the freedom it gives you and the options it gives you. Like I've always just had a really fun time making and saving and investing money, and that's just been my thing, and kind of how I built my entire career is on the aspect of like, let's make a lot of money and then save all of it and then invest it and then do whatever you want with it afterwards. But anyway, everything this guy is doing, I can't really get upset about. And Victor, if you're watching this right now, which I have a feeling, Victor, you are watching this right now, you are invited to LA if you want to come to my humble abode here, and I can confront you about your food budget, and you can come down here. And well, you could have some of my 20-cent iced coffee when you're here. So anyway, you're invited down if you want to do a confronting video anytime you're in LA. And yeah, we could talk about your food budget a little bit and how that gets spent. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And this concludes another episode of, wait for it, Millennial Money. There's something that never gets old about millennial money. So anyway, with that said, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. As always, if you have not already destroyed the like button, subscribe button, and notification bell, feel free to do that. Also, feel free to add me on Instagram. I post it pretty much daily, so if you want to be a part of it there, feel free to add me there. And also, if you guys want 2 free stocks from Webull, use the link down below in the description. They're going to give you 2 free stocks. One of the stocks is going to be valued up to $1,400. So you may as well just go and deposit some money on Webull, get that, and enjoy those 2 free stocks. And with that said, thank you again for watching, and until next time.